So GeoGuessr is a game that's been around for a decade, and it's built off Google Street View. So the kind of Google cars that go around and capture 360-degree images, photos of around our streets in Australia and many other countries. It's a game built on these photos in which you guess where in the world you are. So you look around at the scenery, you might see the houses, the trees, the language, all that kind of thing, and you bring all those factors together and make the best guess of where in the world you are. Try and get as few kilometers away as you possibly can.
So presumably this can sometimes be really, really easy because you might see a town or a street sign in English and you can be pretty confident where you are, but it might be much harder, say, if you're on a remote road in Azerbaijan.
That's absolutely true. I mean, there's the full range of difficulty on GeoGuessr, but you're right. The more rural it is, the harder it tends to be.
What do you do to train for this? I've heard you're training several hours a day at the moment. Do you learn languages or about road rules or something like architecture? I saw one video last night where you identified the pavement as uniquely Bolivian. Which I thought was, is a pretty amazing skill, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, there's on GeoGuessr, and quite frankly, just in the world in general, there's so many things that you can learn. There's never a limit to it. So you're right. I've been looking at some language stuff. I recently learned to read Thai script.
Wow.
But then it's also just a whole lot of stuff like learning about the different, as you say, road infrastructure, the road lines in different countries. Even vegetation. Talking to botanists can be super useful as well. There's so many different things you can learn.
You represented Australia last year at the World Cup in Sweden, and you did pretty well. Are you confident you can go a little bit better this time? Because you've been training, I think, full-time for the past couple of months.
Yeah, that's right. My training regimen has seriously picked up since the World Cup. But you know what? So has the level of competition, I would say. That was the inaugural World Cup this year. I think everyone's really improved their gameplay. So basically, it's a matter for me of just playing as much as I can at the moment. And I don't know, I could seriously see myself going the distance, but also it's a tough competition out here in the Asia Pacific tournament, which I'm taking part in.
Yeah. So I'm going to sort of sound like an old man saying this, but can you make money and a career out of this now via YouTube or other revenue sources? I will admit it is quite addictive watching you do this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a good transition. I was working full time until a few months ago, and now I'm doing YouTube full time. Definitely at this stage in the game, being a pro player alone is not enough. You definitely do have to do content on the side in order to make it possible financially. But yeah, no, so far it's been a pretty smooth transition. I've been happy with how it's going.
Well, here at News Breakfast, we are hoping, Oscar, that you do go just that little bit better at the World Cup, fingers crossed, and thank you so much for speaking to News Breakfast this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.